would you say if I said that I could bring them back?
I guess I'd say I never thought of that.
Well, alright, hold tight, you might wanna stand back, because one small John is coming intact.
St. John forward, spitting out some more words, fully intact, jacked, ready to rap and attack. Small John on your lawn, living like a gnome, hit you with my lyrics like a bullet to your dome.
Tonight when he comes up here, he's either gonna kill or he's gonna suck. But there's no in between for Mr. John Forward.
Oh, well, I didn't know any of that.
Well, that's what I've been trying to say the whole time.
Welcome to St. John Forward Radio. I'm your host, John Forward. Just coming off a No Jokes Barred online show last night. First attempt. It went pretty well, all things considered, but still aching to go back out into the bars to do shows in front of a live audience, and they've started reopening. I think O'Leary's just opened a couple of days ago, and hopefully others will follow. And I just need to get back out there and connect with the St. John weirdos. Just, even not even doing a comedy show. I've gotten away from it in recent years, but I always used to like going to bars and just chatting up some rando. The best people in the bar were the drunk old guys that would yell at the cover band to play some fucking Zeppelin. That's my best friend. Unless he's at a comedy show, then too bad. Not gonna miss like Reba McEntire from the R Bar with her big bouffant haircut, drinking her red wine month after month at every show, telling everybody how much she doesn't think it's funny. But you gotta be careful when you engage with these people. Sometimes you can fly too close to the sun and get burned. I remember once I was at Callahan's with a friend of mine, and just the two of us were sitting at a table, and some drunk guy stumbles up to us and says, "Hey, do the bars close at what time do the bars close here?" And we said 2, and I figured that was an intro. So, "Hey, where are you from?" "From St. John." I'm like, okay, don't know why he doesn't know what time the bars close here, but I've got some theories after further information was gathered, which I'll get to. But this guy was hammered. He sat down with us and just started hanging out. He was drunker than the guy that I got as a bouncer the one time that I asked for one at the R Bar, who was the drunkest person in the room and threatened to fight me when I asked him and his friends to keep it down a bit. This guy asked us for cigarettes and what our names were multiple times throughout this conversation. And at one point he looked at me and was like, "You look like you're good at computers." Well, I do have glasses and a weight problem. Thank you. And then he just says, "Yeah, I've never been on that Facebook or Twitter. Never figured out how to log in," which is an odd thing to say for somebody that was like maybe 5 years older than me. I'd expect it from some like super old person, but anyway. So that was odd. He also asked me if I was Jewish many times. Anyway, at some point after he'd been hanging out for a bit, he asked us if we would like to go outside and smoke a joint, and I was all for the adventure. Absolutely, sign me up. Subscribe to newsletter. Let's go do this. Asked my friend if he was coming with us, and he was, "No, I'm good," which I just assumed that my friend was down for going to smoke a joint with this random weirdo, but some people just don't live their lives like they're in the middle of a comedy bit, so he said no. And we got out there. We walked down the hill down to down to the waterfront, where Pugsley Park used to be. And the first thing he said to me was, "I'm not going to hurt you," which I think was meant as a reassurance, but that had not even occurred to me because of my my male privilege, I guess. Yeah, I'll just walk down to a dark, secluded area with a stranger. Never occurred to me that I might get hurt. And so the fact that he told me was alarming. And then he just kept dropping more and more information, which got me more and more freaked out. He mentioned that he had a criminal record. And well, what for? And he would not tell me, which is also alarming. We smoked the joint, and then immediately he busts out a pack of cigarettes from his jacket and lights up a cigarette, which is odd because he had asked us for cigarettes a lot of times when we were inside the bar. And then he just starts chatting. He's smoking his smoke. He's like, do you like this jacket? Does this look good on me? I'm like, yeah, sure. You're pulling it off. And he's like, am I pretty? And I wasn't really sure exactly how to answer that. And I'm like, somebody might, I don't know. I think, I don't remember what I said. I think I mostly dodged the question. And then luckily he changed the subject. He was looking around. He's like, yeah, my dad used to work here on the port. Oh, okay, cool. And yeah, I'd rather steer the direction this way. And like, oh yeah, your dad worked here. What exactly did he do down here? And he stops and he said, he used to call me a faggot. And I was like, oh. And I reassured the guy. I'm like, oh, that's really sad, man. And I'm sorry that you had to put up with that, and that that your own father would speak to you in that way. That's a shame, and I'm sorry that happened to you. And then immediately he tells me that he's a street fighter, which I'm not sure exactly what that means. If he's just lures people from bars out into the streets so that he could beat the shit out of them, or if he was just gonna be throwing Hadoukens in my face. I didn't exactly know what that meant, but instinctively, with instincts that I don't really have, I'm not a trained fighter, but I kind of turned sideways and like shoulder to the guy, like, which is what I assume is like a defensive stance. I'm a little bit a smaller target from the side if he was going to attack me. And I was pretty freaked out. And then he just changed gears again. He's like, thanks for being my friend, man. I'm like, oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you for being my friend. It was a touching moment. And then it was back to put up your dukes. And I was like, I don't want to put up my dukes. My friend is still in the bar. He's probably wondering what's going on. We should probably go back in. And we went back in there, and I don't know where this is headed. I sit back down. This guy gets up to use the bathroom, and I give my friend that I was with the rundown of the craziness that just happened. And like, I'm just hoping that every time this guy goes to the bathroom, his goldfish brain kicks in and he just completely forgets that we exist, which seemed to happen briefly. Like, we'd just be sitting there and see him come out of the bathroom and does not acknowledge us. I'm like, oh, he forgot that we exist. But then he'll make eye contact with us and then just sit back down again. Like, ah. And like, now that we've been outside and bonded, he's getting a little bit in my personal space. He's like sitting right next to me so that our legs are like touching, and he keeps putting like his hand on my arm, and it's making me really uncomfortable. And I'm not sure if it's a sexual thing or he just doesn't have good boundaries. And if he is hitting on me, I'm not really sure how to address that, because this is my first time being on the receiving end of it, but I've seen how drunk guys can be at the bar, and you know, if I too strongly rebuke him, it's going to turn ugly. Like if I say, you know, I'm not a homosexual, or I'm not interested, or whatever, then you know, he'd do the drunk bar guy thing and be like, oh, don't flatter yourself, bitch, and probably accuse me of being a lesbian. And I don't know how it's gonna go. It's gonna turn into like the crying neighbor who makes out with Kevin Spacey in American Beauty. That's not what I want, but I don't know how to approach it, because you know, I'm usually just a third party witness, but when this happens in a bar, I know when a drunk guy is talking to a girl. Anything less than fuck you, get away from me, is sometimes interpreted as I might fuck you if you stick around and wear me down. This would be a good time for me to cue up Shania Twain's "Man, I Feel Like a Woman," because I did, and that's why I'm an ally. I know how it is, ladies. This guy goes out for another smoke, and this time I declined to join him. But while he's outside, me and my friend we're making plans. I'm like, you know what, we need to make a break for it. We need to get up. We need to go out the doors. We need to look both ways, and whichever way he is, we just go the opposite way. Too quick for him to say anything or notice us. And we paid up our bills, and we got our stuff, and we walk out the door, and he's standing directly in front of the door, which is an option that we didn't plan for. So I pulled out a switchblade and stuck it into him and twisted the knife and left him on the curb to bleed out, because you can never be too careful around these people. And then we went home. So that's the kind of fun interaction that I'm missing, that I hope that we can get back to when the bars reopen. And coming up after this next song that I haven't picked out yet, it'll be figured out in post. Did not record the No Jokes Barred show last night, but we did have a little bit of a post-show chat with Arif Hussain, Brian Godsoe, Michelle Petite, Brittany Campbell, and Brian Giles. So there would have been too many bleeps to do, so this isn't going to be on campus radio this week. So stay tuned for the YouTube exclusive No Jokes Barred post-show wrap-up after this on St. John Forward Radio.
Days golden, covering the bases. Back when we used to punch each other in the faces. Under my skin, try on the ion, see how it feels. Let bygones be bygones, path of the obscure. Script of the well-known, that's when we didn't know shit from the elbow. Underground meant something low, water apocalypse. Cats stuck in trees, robots and rocket ships. Way back when, solid gold, that song on the radio's nice. Way back when, solid gold, that song on the radio's nice. Way back when, solid gold, that song on the radio's nice. Way back when, solid gold, that song on the radio's nice. Hooks for hands, trash in a can, cash in the plan, flash in the pan. Baseball, making the catches, tearing the roof off, playing with matches, bumped and bruised. Dumped by the girlfriend, Satan and Santa Claus, waiting for the world's end, dancing in the bathroom, suffering in hatred, cutting the trees down like nothing is sacred. Struck by lightning, brand new exciting dance, writing grants, we might have had a fighting chance. Words like weapons, the dealt to crush and blow. Under the stars on the edge, touch and go. Boogeymen, dirty books, fingers crossed just in case. Sadly mistaken, tried to make it to second base. Men drew lines, young boys drew knives. Every study, everybody had to lie. Way back when, solid gold, that song on the radio's nice. Way back when, solid gold, that song on the radio's nice. Way back when, solid gold, that song on the radio's nice. Way back when, solid gold, that song on the radio's nice. Like back in the past, 'cause it ain't like it was in the old days. Like what was in the old days. Way back when, like back in the past, 'cause it leaves. It's over, so I grieve. After lunch used to be so naive. All Jawsy boss stories and soul bottles. Living in the world of superheroes and role models. Big deals out of limits and fringes. Stop and start throwing shopping carts off bridges. Men of the rodeo and women of burlesque. Epic battles and apples on the teacher's desk. Crying wolves awakened in a cave. Weakness, secrets taken to the grave. The bigger, the better. Unfair and so drastic. Things made of wood, long days and no plastic. Floozies weighed a ton. 45th, 33rds, limits untested. First kisses and dirty words. Devils in the details, God saw everybody. Bad joke, but ha ha, very funny. Way back when the solid gold, that song on the radio's nice. Way back when the solid gold, that song on the radio's nice. Way back when the solid gold, that song on the radio's nice. Way back when the solid gold, that song on the radio's nice. Way back when, cause it ain't like it was in the old days. In the old days, way back when, cause it ain't like it was way back when, cause it ain't like it was in the old days.
I know some of you. This is your first time doing a online comedy show. How do you feel about it?
Well, this was the last note that I had written in my comedy notebook before the shutdown, and I think this applies pretty well. Like it's the last note that I've written in my notebook, and this applies to Brittany's set. I think I don't know if you can read it. It says.
I mean, you're not wrong, but
I'm kidding. Of course, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to see Brittany and Vince, and yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the Zoom bombs were interesting. I was kind of accepting and a little bit hoping for it. The porn was fine. I could have done without seeing the dead body, I think. That was a bit, and I left that one on for too long. I thought for a second that it was going to be porn. I thought what it was a penis, but it was like a severed arm stump. And,
I want to see where this goes.
Yeah. Anyway, that was good for the first shot, but I should probably turn off the ability for everybody to share their screen, because as hilarious as it is, there's going to be some people, if they saw it happen on this one, it's just going to become a thing, and it's as hilarious as the R Bar regulars were here and there in moderation. I feel like it's going to go overboard, so I should probably cut that out. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree.
I
don't like anyone's input unless it's my own.
Did you know those people who were Zoom bombing?
No.
Could you blow a little more into the mic so we can't hear you?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Am I blowing into the mic?
Well, it was kind of.
Put it right in your mouth. All the way.
Oh, sorry.
Just like when you were 7.
It happened when I was 8, okay?
Oh.
I was a consenting adult at that point. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was okay.
I think they were randos. I bought an Instagram ad, so who knows who would have saw it. And,
Oh.
Yeah.
You put the Zoom ID meeting on a bot Instagram ad?
Yeah.
Oh, John.
Yeah, I thought it was... Hey.
She's right. She's right.
Yeah. I knew it was a possibility. I figured porn was definitely on the table. I wasn't counting on the gruesome violence. I could have done without that.
Yeah. But it was okay. I mean, I think mostly everyone was sort of well behaved. I mean, the fact that more people didn't bomb it is probably, I mean, it's a good thing, but it's also kind of sad that like we're not even getting spammed. You know what I mean? Like we're so inconsequential that even Russian bots don't care about your open mic.
Yeah. There was a few people I had to to mute. It was nothing malicious. There was like somebody came in during Godsoe's set that was making an echo because they had their mic on without headphones, so it was just feeding back, and somebody else was telling the person next to them loudly that they were watching a comedian show.
Yes.
And they were watching a comedian show.
I found it ironic that they said that during Godsoe's set.
Yeah, Brian, you suck.
That doesn't hurt my feelings at all.
Yeah, and Brian just displaying his alcoholism for all to see, just rubbing it in May's face on her sober versary.
Thanks, buddy.
Now you want some delicious.
I thought you were drinking less oil.
Well, I got to clear out that colon.
So, Michelle, you've been on many of these things. How did No Jokes Barred compare to the other ones that you've seen?
It did real well because sometimes Margot has too many people on her Zoom call, and it keeps cutting out the bandwidth, and people freeze. So you don't get the feedback. So she has to mute everyone, and doing it to dead air is like rough.
Yeah.
So new Broken Cherry people. Was it as bad as you thought it would be?
No, not really. It was. It's definitely different. I don't think I did it right. I don't think I approached it from the right way, but
you've been doing it wrong for a long time, though, Brian.
Was John gentle enough for you, though?
Well, John's always gentle with me.
Did you find it a little rough and hammery?
Yeah, John doesn't put 1 in the pink, 2 in the stink. He puts 5 in the stink and 0 in the pink. You know what I mean?
He's always had soft hands with me.
Yeah.
What do you think that? What do you think that you did wrong with your approach?
I think I treated it like a regular show and tried to tell my jokes like I was on stage. And I don't think that worked.
Yes, it did.
I thought it was fine. I know what you mean. I don't honestly on this show. This is the only one that I've seen where this is probably the least awkward one that I've participated in. There's always, I don't know. I even like doing your material. I don't think is a problem, but you were still delivering it normally. You weren't adding any extra levels of artifice beyond it being pre-written stuff.
Okay. 90% of it, like anything else, is all up here. So it's
and we're all rusty anyway. That certainly doesn't help.
Last night's show had Puppet Guy, and it was creepy.
What? Does New Brunswick have a ventriloquist comic?
No, there was a guy with a puppet, and he was moving the puppet. You couldn't see him; you could just hear him talking. It was mostly puns, but this puppet's going. Then he put on a recording of the puppet.
Michelle, was that a comedy show, or do you accidentally like go into someone's like Zoom snuff film? Like,
no, it was a comedy show. It was pedophile after pedophile and me.
Sounds about right. To
work. Okay, great.
So there was No Jokes Barred then.
It's ironic because I'm the oldest of the bunch, so.
So, Arif, you seemed, of the people that I've talked to, you were most vocally against the idea of an online comedy show. What do you think about it now?
Listen, I was just happy to not do it with a bunch of annoying faggots. I mean, I'm just happy to do it with my friends. Like I said, I think I'm just happy to do it with my friends. I wouldn't do it for any. I think I just, even though I know you as a human being, I mean, I still trust you, which is, I mean, that's egg on my face personally.
That's what I rely on.
That's right.
He's just upset because he's been doing podcasts now for 2 years, and your first show on Zoom got 5 times its viewing audience. I'm one of them.
Well, thank you. We always appreciate your cackle, Michelle.
Yeah. No, I'm personally just happy to see Brittany again, and Vince and Brian, and it was great. I mean, Brian Giles, that is, not God, so it's never a pleasure.
So,
I'm happy to see everybody too. I probably wouldn't have done a different show, but this one's good because it's seeing people that you pretend to like. So
I'm so glad you did this one, Brittany. I loved your set.
oh, thank you.
Great,
Thank
Brittany
you.
was great.
yeah, I didn't know that you moved. Is there
Sorry.
is there a lot of local people out there attempting this abomination?
Yeah, there's shows every night. Most nights there's multiple shows. Lots of road work. It's a good city to be doing comedy in.
Yeah.
And it's not, and the prices are, like the housing prices are comparable to Halifax, so it's not as expensive as Toronto or Vancouver. So yeah, it's probably top 3.
Are the people welcoming? Does it? Did you have to kind of start from scratch and work your way up, or does having some chops to start with get you ahead at all?
Last May, I spent a month in Edmonton before I moved here. I came up and did a bunch of shows and met everybody first, and then moved in September. So that definitely helped. People in Edmonton are good. It's a nicer city. They're not as shitty as most places in Alberta.
Alberta is the Texas of Canada.
Yeah, but people like to hang out a lot here in Edmonton, so it's like great crowds. Like a lot of the shows, even if it's not a great show, it still has a pretty good crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Brian rejoining us. You've participated and seen a few of these Zoom shows. How did No Jokes Barred stack up compared to the other ones?
No. So the difference between this show and all the other shows is that the content, and of course, I mean the name says it all. No Jokes Barred. Like the content of this show was much more shocking, and almost at some points off-putting. When you compared prego porn to child pedophilia, John, for instance, that was a far reach for me. I was a little bit, and then Brittany talking about the tall man's fingers. There were some things that I found a little bit shocking and off-putting and funny. I mean, very funny. And for me, all the Zoom shows I've been to have been pretty tame. This is the only Zoom show that I've done that has had the Zoom bomb and the 2 girls 1 cup scene and the severed arm are like memories that I don't know if I can unremember them actually, you know. But I think John, you really set the precedent when we did the Dallas show together, and you asked to shut the to have the mics unmuted. That makes a huge difference when you can hear people laughing and hear people responding. And I know it's weird. I know it's not stand-up comedy per se. And I've heard Godsoe say it, and I've heard Shane Ogden say it, that this is not stand-up comedy. This is and Godsoe was even saying he wouldn't do it. Shane said he would never do it. I know it's not stand-up comedy, but it's the only way right now that we have to portray our art and to share. I don't even know if you want to call it art. If you just, whatever it is, to share it with the world. And I dig it. And I like this one. I like this one for the same reason that Arif said. Like, I like to see my friends, man. I mean, I haven't seen Vince for, I want to say it's been like 5 years. I haven't seen Brittany for at least 3 years, man. Brittany, I don't think I've seen you since my daughter was born, right?
I don't think so. No,
she's 3.5, man. And Arif, I haven't seen you for probably a year and a half or 2 years. You know, like, it's great to do comedy with your friends.
They're not wasting their eggs.
They're not wasting their eggs. Throwing them against the wall.
Yeah, this isn't something that's ever going to replace stand-up comedy, and this certainly is not going to continue once stuff reopens. But it's something. It's doing comedy of some sort, and it's not. I don't know.
I'm just glad John's really innovating. He truly is the Rosa Parks of.
I'm not going to sit on the back of the comedy bus anymore.
This is the point of the show where we've already fucked him, and he wants us to tell him he's pretty still.
You know, one thing that I do think this could be useful for, though, is I think this could be useful for material building, and I think that like I've certainly taken a lot more chances with the Zoom comedy shows to say things off the cuff and to not write material and just to go out and just to like riff on stuff that I might not do at a club that I would do here. And so after this whole thing is over, like if it was a Tuesday night, and a bunch of comics wanted to get on a Zoom podcast together, and just let each other, like, you know, to not have to go to a bar and find a mic and find a small, non-paying, non-interested audience, but to like get together and like write some material. I think this could be a really good venue for that.
Yeah, it would be a good workshop tool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like one of the, aside from the default no mics on that people have done on these podcasts, I also found like people are adding unnecessary layers of we can't go too far with this. Like, why? This is the Wild West. We're on the internet. Like the Texas show, even, that was something to do with the guy's work. So I don't know, unless his work is somehow paying for it. I'm not sure why doing an online comedy show, why you would add that extra level of I might get fired if somebody says the wrong thing to it. Or the first one that I did, I was told, there's going to be some older people on this show, so be sort of appropriate. Like, well, why invite them on if it's going to be a problem?
Well, you're right. Extra M-bomb, sweet.
Yeah,
like John, I was totally serious during my set. 2 people did leave during your set. 2 people like decided to opt out. It shows at the top of the screen, like Sarah and Anna decided to leave the show. Yeah. I think for people it's a lot easier to sign out of a Zoom cast than it is for them to get up and physically walk out of a room, right?
But just a heads up for that, if they're doing their act, like when John was doing his, if you found anything off-putting, all you had to do was look at the little view of the parents and the faces they were making. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it was great.
I just think it was neat that John walked people so Arif didn't have to. Like, that was pretty nice of him.
Brian, do they hate me? Do you think that girl hates me?
We've done shows for people in an audience that have got up and left.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is fine. I think if somebody's not enjoying themselves, then they shouldn't subject themselves to it anymore. Unfortunately, in a bar, that looks bad to the person that wants to use us to sell booze. We've just driven $50 out the door, maybe.
I was thinking more of a Fredericton Delta.
I saw Carlin. I saw George Carlin live one time, and during the show, like 15 people got up and walked out of a George Carlin show, and I thought, man, you paid like did you do your fucking homework before you spent $50 on a ticket to see George Carlin? Like, you knew he was going to be offensive. He was doing this bit about the perfectly good wasted dead homeless vaginas is what he was doing. And it was brilliant. It was a fucking great bit, and I loved it. He's like, dead girl, homeless girls are dying, and what a waste of a perfectly good vagina. And people were getting up and walking out. I was like, man, you fucking spent $50 on a ticket for Carlin. What are you walking out for right now? Like, what?
As opposed to a John Forward show where it's pay what you can and there's no homework to do.
Yeah. I was going to, I forgot to. I was going to ask people to send donations on the PayPal I didn't think anybody would, but I should have at least mentioned it. I might have been able to recoup some of the Zoom Pro money, and if there was any left over.
Did anybody get donations from last week?
No, I didn't get any on the Giles Landia show. I got 0 donations.
Yeah, that's a shame. I understand it, though. At least at a show, like, I don't push anybody too hard, but I'm at least looking them in the eyes and hoping that they feel a little bit of shame if they don't put anything in the bucket.
When they don't have to look you in the eye, it's easier to not give you anything.
Yeah.
The great thing is that I spent $14.99 a month on the Zoom Pro, and my work as a special education teacher is paying for it. They're reimbursing me for the monthly payments, so I can do comedy shows using I can do an IEP meeting and a comedy show using my Zoom Pro, and I'm not paying a dime for it. Really, it's going right back to the federal government.
Thank you, Washington County First Nations educational system.
Actually, Godsoe, it's the National Bureau of Indian Education, sir, that's paying for it. So thank you very much.
I didn't fucking research that, bro.
You listen to White Guy from Town. He knows what he's saying.
White Man from Town. That's right.
Yeah, I've got like a Microsoft account through work. I could be using like Skype for business.
Yuck.
I don't know if that works as well, though.
No, fuck no.
I tried Microsoft Teams, but I think I can use it, but it doesn't give me the ability to like invite anybody or set up like a team. I think I could use it if somebody in the company set something up, but I can't add
I don't
people
mean to be like
it.
a product spokesman, but I got to tell you, like of all the products that I've used for meetings, like I used Google Meets, and it sucked, dude. It was so laggy, and it was not like real time. Like Zoom is the best in terms of like quality of audio and video, and no lagging. You're seeing people in real time with good definition, and you don't see that with Google Meets. And I don't know about Skype. I don't know if Skype is as good or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard that that Microsoft Teams is actually very good. It's just really expensive though.
That's the one I use at work for my work meetings. Is Microsoft one? Am I allowed to talk?
Yeah, sure,
Well,
Matt.
You are. So.
I don't know if I was supposed to interrupt.
Shut up, whore. All right.
I'm just happy you're talking to me again, Arif.
Who said that?
I was telling Margot last night about some sort of thing, and you hook it right up to your Facebook live stream, but up to 6 people can call in, and they can hear one another, but then it's all put through Facebook Live.
Yeah,
you can't hear
Facebook
the
Messenger
audience,
has a
but you
thing
can
that
hear
they just
each
rolled
other.
out.
But apparently it's supposed to be inexpensive, and anyways, I can get the details from Margot on it.
Yeah, I don't know if you might not be able to record it, which I don't know.
That I don't know. But I would think on Facebook Live, like I can go look at somebody that was live on Facebook long after they're done, and it's still on their news feed page thing.
Yeah, and this works pretty well as far as not having a delay and having like an interaction. The sound quality that the recording spits out at the end of it isn't ideal. Like the file size is really small, so it's probably not super high quality. So to re-release it as a podcast is a slight bit of an issue, but it is what it is.
Good luck, Godsoe.
Yeah, how long is this grind bit gonna go on for?
I'm never getting off this island, guys.
Yeah.
I didn't steal the peanut butter, all right?
So stupid, right?
It's crunchy. I can't
So
fuck
dumb.
that.
Literally a fucking 5-year-old. You fucking.
I don't even know why I have this image on
It's so
file.
Mm-hmm.
What else do I got?
I'm gonna have some editing to do for the campus radio version of this.
Why? Oh yeah, because I said faggot. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
apologize.
and there's another one.
Oh, is there another one? Did I say it? Oh, again. Sorry.
just have it replaced with uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But this was fun, man. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm of the opinion that it doesn't need to be stand-up. I think it's perfectly okay to, like I told you before, to treat it as an extension of some sort of podcast rather than attempt to turn this thing into something that it's not designed to be. It cannot be ever, you know.
Well, it's nice to have an outlet for like a pre-recorded bit rather than trying to shoehorn it into a podcast and make it seem like it came up naturally in the conversation.
So I've been on 3 Zoom calls with Brittany, and that every time she rolls a joint, it looks like she's trying to disarm a bomb. Yeah, got it. It was the red wire.
Yeah.
But I think like the delivery, I think should be more podcast-like. But if you could, I don't know. I think it's good to be able to write material ahead of time and have an outlet for it, because otherwise, I don't know. Seeing these things was the only thing that really gave me any motivation at all to write anything. The bit that I did tonight, I didn't write anything new, but the last couple of shows I was on, I wrote some new stuff.
John, to be clear, when I say I want it to be more like a podcast, I mean sort of openly be a homophobe and a racist is what I mean.
Oh yeah, well definitely.
Be yourself, buddy.
Yeah.
We don't need to worry about pesky like business owners and human rights tribunals and stuff like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're in international waters, baby.
That's right. We're international edgelord warders is what we are. Yeah.
It is good to see everybody,
Tell me
though.
what an edgelord is. I have no idea what an edgelord is. I've heard this term 3 times. What is an edgelord?
Just
like a modern poet, like a modern philosopher.
It's exactly what you think it is. It's just.
It's got something to do with Dungeons and
I don't know what it
Dragons.
is. Like, I don't know what I don't know what that means. I don't know.
What do you think it is? What do you think it is?
No idea.
What do you think? If you had to take a stab at what do you think it might mean?
Someone who gets to the edge of inappropriate and then hangs out there.
Yeah, you got it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
You got it. Yeah, you got
He's
it.
the guy in the black cloak in Dungeons and Dragons that makes you roll a 12 or you lose one of your elves.
Okay. I'm going with that too. Godsoe, what do you think?
About edgelords?
What's the definition?
If you look it up in the dictionary, there's a picture of Arif there.
They're. I think an edgelord is a free speech patriot. Really, I think.
I am against that definition, Brian. That's very important to my community.
Oh, beautiful in space.
Oh man. So hey, listen. I got a question for all my St. John folks and out there, Brittany out in Edmonton. What is the unraveling of this COVID-19 quarantine looking like for you folks? Like here in Calais, I just for the record. And city council got together last night. They voted just to open everything up. Like we're just gonna open the fucking doors wide open. However, we've only had 2 confirmed cases, and those were 2 months ago. We've had 0 other confirmed cases. We have a population of about 32,000 in the whole county. That's 1 person per 12 square miles. So we're not in grave danger, I don't think. But they're just gonna open the doors up. What does St. John look like? What does the rest of the world look like? And how are people getting out of this?
They just opened the malls on Wednesday. I haven't been out of the house all week anyway.
Only 4 stores in the mall opened up, though.
Yeah. It was. I assume there was probably a big line of people that went just for the sake of going.
No, they were pretty dead.
I saw a musician that I am acquainted with on Facebook posted that he's, or I don't know why I'm being coy about it, Sean Roach is playing at O'Leary's tonight.
Yeah, they opened up bars and restaurants on Friday.
I think they have less people. O'Leary's, I think, is the only one open that I know of. And I think they only have table service. You can't go up to the bar to get a drink.
Exactly, and they only have half the tables there. They had to spread them out. We went to Gahan House last night, and every other booth's open. And a guy has to open the door for you and guide you to your table, and then he has to open the door for you when you leave. You're not allowed to touch anything.
Is there a lineup?
No line. No.
Masks?
No masks. He wears gloves when he serves you, and he has to set everything on the edge of the table, and you slide it over.
He's an edgelord.
He's an edgelord.
So if we're already to the point where there's like a guy with a guitar in the corner, I don't think we're too far off from being able to do a comedy show.
So he like sets your soup down, he just drops an M-bomb and then just like goes back.
Well, most of our cases that come into the province are people that are traveling from another province or from another country. Right. So if they just do the screening at the borders and put an app on their phone and say, you know what? You go to wherever you're going, stay there for 2 weeks. We got your phone. If you decide you're going to go somewhere and leave your phone home, we're going to call you randomly. And if you don't answer the phone, we come and arrest you. Simple enough.
Whoa.
Is there an actual law that they can charge you with?
They do under the emergency measures. If you don't self-quarantine for the 2 weeks, they can charge you and fine you. It's up to $2,000 or $3,200. I can't remember. And they can arrest you and put you in a cell.
I've had that app before, Michelle. That app's called Being Married.
Hey, oops. He knows what I'm talking about.
So
come on.
We have the same thing, and we have basically the same thing over here in Maine. And here's the really difficult part is that Maine is basically a blue hair state, right? So most of our population is aging either 50 or older.
Same here.
I'd say probably like 85% of our population is 50 or over. And our entire economy revolves around the tourist industry. So we depend on the guides, we depend on the fairs. We have the 4th of July festival and the Pirate Festival and Common Ground Fair and International Festival, all these crazy things that make all the money for the businesses. And if those and our Canadian shoppers, like, and you folks coming to Calais, Maine, is what keeps Martin's and Walmart and everything else, the movies, everything is dependent upon our Canadian traffic that comes into our state. And even if we open up and the border's still closed, like, our state's pretty much, at least for this year, we're doomed. Like, the guides are going to go out of business. The restaurants are not going to make the same amount of money that they make. And certainly the small towns like Unity that hosts the Common Ground Fair and the Bangor State Fair that has all the concerts, like all the waterfront concerts, and the Bangor State Fair and those things that aren't happening, like, it's gonna fucking totally devastate our economy. Like, we're in big trouble. It's gonna cause like a little depression, at least. I think not a recession, but
I saw your Facebook post today, and there's a lot of people that are just losing their minds when they start to reopen anything, like, and they think that it's going to be the Black Plague as soon as you open them all. Like, stay home if you're worried about it.
Yeah.
If it ends up that a big spike of people start getting sick and die, then I'll eat my words, but I don't think that's going to happen.
John, I'm with you 110%. I don't think it's going to happen either. And and I think it's a matter of choice in terms of a citizen consumer. Like, if a store wants to open, that store should be allowed to open. And if you want to patronize that store, you should be able to do that.
There's not a ton of people getting sick going to the grocery stores. So there's, like, everybody in town is going to the 5 grocery stores, and it's not spreading around that way.
Yeah. And
you can be against leaving everything shut down, but still worried. Like, I think they should be opening stuff up, but I'm not, like, running out of my house. Like I said, I haven't left the house, and we went for a walk today, but I haven't been out anywhere. Just because I think they should open the malls doesn't mean I want to go. It's not like mandatory attendance to everything that opens up.
He certainly hasn't been out for any haircuts.
Letting it grow.
Same thing, John. I feel like here, like in Washington County, you know, the same 7 people have been going to the Schooner Bar and getting hammered for the last 30 years. And if those 7 people want to go to the Schooner Bar and get hammered, like, by all means, let them do it. That doesn't mean I didn't go to the Schooner Bar before the COVID-19 bullshit. I'm not going to go to the Schooner now and get hammered. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if it opens or it closes. But the point is like, if you start to mandate people, you're going to get a revolution where people start to do stupid things in spite of the government directive, instead of allowing people to make a good choice for themselves, where you can say, and also like most of us in this conversation right now are not immunocompromised. But if you were immunocompromised, shouldn't it be up to you to make the good decision to not go and have fish and chips at the fucking restaurant instead of, you know what I mean?
Well, Brian is retarded, so.
Well, the argument for that is you have somebody who goes and has fish and chips around somebody that didn't know they had the virus, and then they go visit grandma, and grandma gets sick.
Yeah, well, then tell them to stop going to visit grandma, not to book the fish and chips.
Stop visiting grandma.
Can we circle back on John's hair for a second? Because
coming in real nice everywhere except for the usual.
John looks like someone's worried Jewish father. Like he.
That's not a bald spot. That's a solar panel for a sex machine.
I'm saving up for a comb over.
Like, oh, my son, he never visits anymore. Right?
I just feel like yeah, I think you're right. Like, about the whole thing. Like, if you know your grandmother is immunocompromised,
you fuck her in the house. Oh.
You know, if you're gonna go out in the world, don't go to her fucking house. Like,
exactly.
How is that everybody's responsibility? I have 2 small children. I have an infant and a 3.5-year-old, and so I don't go out. And when I do go out, I wear a mask and I wear gloves and I do all of the fucking precautions, and we disinfect all our shit. But let me be honest, if I was 30 years old and it was just me and Sue and I have talked about this, if it was just us 2, and we weren't seeing our parents or whatever, man, I'm going to take my chances. I'm going to roll my dice. But that is my choice. And that's the thing that got people fired up on the internet today was when I said it's a matter of personal choice. And I think the same thing is true of pro-life, pro-choice. Like, man, I'm going to stick with my liberal fucking viewpoint that, like, you should be able to make the choice in your life, whether you want to be transgender or you want to have a fucking abortion or you want to do whatever you want to do, that's up to you. And
they can have fun
with this thing. And if we let people cut into our freedoms and our rights because of this, then when 9/11 2001 happened in the United States, we lost so many rights. So many rights. No, and I'm serious.
I didn't think we were going to circle around to 9/11
give
tonight.
up their freedoms.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of
circle back.
There's a lot of progressive people that are mad about people protesting because they're not protesting the thing that they like, and I don't know. It's just weird. I think a lot of the progressive type people that are like all pro democracy, they don't even want a democracy. They want a dictatorship as long as the person in charge is like somebody that they like.
Agreed. Godsoe can remember, and I know Godsoe can remember this. Before 9/11 2001, we could walk across the border from the United States to Canada, and literally, we didn't have an ID, we didn't have anything. We could just wave and walk across the border. It was nothing. There was no ID. There was nothing required, man.
I used to do it drunk.
Yeah, I used to do it drunk. I did it on acid a couple of times.
Yeah.
It was awesome, dude. I just walked.
But Godsoe, they'd always pat down to see if he was smuggling tobacco.
No, they were always looking for hams.
I tried to cross one of the weird borders, like between Quebec and Maine, in like October 2001, and they held us in and like interrogated us for like an hour, and eventually we got turned away because they found like a roach like tucked in the corner of one of my friend's wallets.
Little borders have to be super cops.
I thought maybe they heard about your libertarian ideas.
One time I crossed the border and they hauled out my wallet and found all my little pieces of paper with my MC Crosswalk gangster rap lyrics written on them. That was fun.
Whoa.
You're using one as a bookmark in your copy of Atlas Shrugged?
I've never read Atlas Shrugged.
You know, one good thing about these Zoom meetings is I get to see all of you folks because I can only watch Reprobate Road so many times on YouTube.
Twice.
Thank you for
I've got
watching
about
us.
7 views on it now.
Sweet.
I keep coming back for, the tuna, Stinky.
I want a tuna man jacket tonight.
John in his
Beautiful,
underwear
Brian.
doing the sexy dance, and Brian's, what do we do, boys? We're getting some liquor.
I'm wearing my tuna man jacket tonight on purpose, actually.
So what's going on in Alberta, lockdown wise, Brittany?
Yeah, Brett.
We've got like a step 4 steps for opening up. The first step started yesterday, so businesses can open, but they can only have 50% capacity for bars, but only up to 15, I think, something like that. And they had to be all spaced out. You still have a social distance, but you can be in the bar and no table service only. I don't know. Might be able to camp soon.
Yeah.
Golf
Are
courses
people
are
like
open.
hardcore? Are your Facebook people losing their minds about easing the lockdowns?
Yeah,
Are you guys? It seems more the Canadian version of a red state out there.
Yeah, I would say that the East Coast is doing a lot better, like numbers wise, than Alberta has been.
Yeah.
Like, we've got a lot of people, but we've also had like a lot of cases. Calgary's still doing pretty bad, but Edmonton's doing well. But there's like 4 million people or 5 million people in Alberta, and I think we're down to like 40 cases a day.
What's it like going to the
My girlfriend
grocery
just tells me
store?
every day, and I don't actually listen sometimes.
Is there big lines to go to the grocery store?
And then they're gonna start.
Oh, she froze.
Oh.
Brittany's frozen, just like her
Froze.
sexuality.
While you're unfreezing,
We call that
kill
pulling
the
a
time,
Godsoe.
Brittany, I'll recommend Reprobate Road.
It's free on YouTube. Go to the Hard Times YouTube page.
Yeah, and they've got a new
15
season,
people are
Hard
watching
Times
this.
Quarantine. The Quarantine
I haven't watched
episode,
that yet.
All the
They're
best
pretty funny.
characters were killed off in the movie. I'm not interested.
Thank you for that.
Oh, Brittany, are you back? Or no, you just got a different frozen pose.
No different Frozen. What about St. John? So St. John is starting to open up the bars and the restaurants and are the parks and that sort of thing. Like how is it going so far? I mean, you got New Brunswick has had 0 cases for a month, right?
Well, we had 2 cases.
There was like 2 that bubbled up a couple of weeks ago, but
it was mostly from travel. That's
2 weeks
the
ago.
government's not doing their job and flagging them and quarantining them when they come into the country. If they would do that, because the biggest amount of cases are Vancouver, Calgary, Montreal, Toronto, which are right by international airports. So they really need to be, like when they first started, the ones coming from Wuhan, they took them right to a Canadian Forces base and quarantined them. They need to keep doing that. And somebody says to me, oh, you dumb girl, they can't quarantine 100,000 people. Yeah, but we can ask 39 million to stay in their fucking house for 3 months.
I didn't mean to call you dumb.
So Brittany's back.
Brittany's back.
What?
Okay, you froze. Brittany, keep talking.
What's the grocery store situation? I know here, like the first time I went to get groceries, I had to wait in line, but since then I just roll in and they're one-way aisles. But other than that,
I would say that's the same here. Same thing here. Not all the grocery stores have the one-way aisles, though.
Yeah,
but a lot of places do.
Are people wearing masks? Last time I went to the grocery store, there was only, aside from a few of the employees, there was only like 2 people in the whole store that were wearing face masks.
A lot of people wear masks here, for sure. Not everybody, though. And we don't have the option of like seeing another family or anything here. We're still told to self.
Yeah, I don't have that
isolate.
option either because we're losers.
Yeah,
but we're good with the one-way lanes because we're used to driving in the south end.
Family.
PEI still has the 2-family bubble, is that right?
Oh, she's gone.
There's been talk of PEI bubbling with New Brunswick. Like we're going to allow people from PEI to come to New Brunswick and vice versa.
Yeah, they're opening up the borders with Quebec as well. So.
No, don't open up with Quebec.
Yeah, what the fuck is with that? Like, what? Whose idea?
Do it, man. How long are you gonna do it? How long are they gonna keep it open? How long are they gonna keep it closed for? Do it. I say do it.
Just let it go to see what happens.
Jesus Christ, they keep getting 1,000 cases a day.
Listen, I'm gonna go ahead and I have to. I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I agree with Arif. Like, I feel like Arif. I can't believe we're agreeing, but listen.
I never thought Brian would become an edgelord, but all right.
I am now an edgelord. Like, I feel like, how long do we do this for? The point of this whole social distancing thing was to flatten the goddamn curve.
Yeah, and they keep moving the goalpost.
That we and they keep. Thank you very much. And I said that today, man. Like, you know what?
Now everybody's like, nobody's allowed to get sick ever again.
Yeah, it's
right.
Like
that's bullshit.
Yeah,
that's bullshit.
Yeah, that was fucked up. Like when that case from Moncton came in, and like nobody looked at any of the facts. Like all I saw on Facebook was people like fucking calling for that guy's blood, like just wanting to fucking.
It's crazy.
No, open up the fucking borders, man. What's the point of like keeping? What's the point of having 0 cases and taking all of these measures? That, by the way, everyone who wanted to shit on Dominic Cardy and wanted to shit on the Conservative government now, I hope they're fucking eating their words now, because they're the ones who actually, the Conservatives in this province are the ones who actually kept everyone safe. So right now, I think it's a better thing. It's a better idea to open up the fucking borders. And if we get cases, we get cases. This is retarded. This is the poorest province in the fucking country. What are you going to keep this?
Yeah, and if it becomes a problem again, then just shut it down again if we need to.
Yeah, shut it down, dude. Fucking, this is retarded. Like, you're going to keep people closed?
I'm not an expert on any of this shit, so...
As long as the hospitals aren't being overwhelmed and people aren't dying in the streets, then we'll be fine.
But with Quebec, I don't agree, because I mean, let's just say Conception
Montreal
Bay
can't open up.
in Newfoundland is like the AIDS capital of Canada. That's not the place I'm going to go if I want to hook up.
That's right on their postcards, actually.
How long
AIDS
are you gonna
capital of
keep it
Canada.
closed? What's the like? It's retarded. Yeah.
How are we going to cross the border to save 30 cents on a can of beer? Come on, open it up.
But
There's
the
actually
point,
a lawsuit going for that.
but my point is like, and I don't know if you guys agree or don't agree, but like my point is, what is the point? If the point was to flatten the curve, we've given hospitals and medical professionals 2 months to prepare the necessary facilities to deal with the hospital overflow. And if you're telling me that in 2 months you couldn't provide the right amount of PPE for the hospital staff, and you couldn't provide the defibrillators, or at least get a team together to provide a plan so that we could facilitate, so that, let's say in my case, Calais Regional Hospital could not handle the cases of COVID. Let's make sure that there is a place in Bangor for them so that they can go the hour and a half away, so that they can have the services in a huge hospital, which is a multinational hospital. It's fucking crazy big. Like, what are we doing? How long are we going to put these measures in place, and to what end? The big major corporations like Walmart and McDonald's are thriving. Man, people are still going through the drive-thru in Calais and McDonald's all day long. But the little Chinese restaurant in town is dying. The little
Taco Peak is
bakery in
closed.
town is dying. Walmart is wide open, but the small grocery store is dying. Like, what are we doing here? Are we setting a precedent that major corporations are the only ones able to handle the flow of people, and the small businesses are just supposed to rattle the death knells? We've got like 40 businesses in Maine that have closed down in the last month. Like, I don't
retarded,
know.
man. Yeah, no, it's like this is the perfect situation for a classic like lefty virtue signal. It's basically no. It's just people who are like, in their everyday life, they are fucking mentally retarded, telling other retarded people to be like, I'm the hall monitor. This is the perfect situation for everyone to turn into a hall monitor, and everyone's sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it. I know. I was like, who are these people in my Facebook feed yelling at me about what I should be doing? Hey, retard, you've got fucking gauges in. Like, what are you fucking? How the hell are you? You are not qualified to give out any sort of advice. Shut the fuck up. All right.
Right.
I love how Coca-Cola's telling me to wash my hands. Fuck
I'm just glad Brian finally delivered on his angry Facebook in a car rant that I was up
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
every day, every evening. He calls her aloud from above. Carefully watched for a reason, painstaking devotion and love. Surrender to self-preservation, others who care for themselves. Blindness and touch is perfection, but it hurts just like anything else. Isolation, isolation, isolation. Try, please believe me, I'm doing the best that I can. I'm ashamed of the things I've been put through. I'm ashamed of the person I am. Isolation, isolation, isolation. is a wayward distraction. This is my one lucky prize. Isolation.
Well,
I've seen him make that face before.
thank you to Michelle and Brian and Arif and other Brian and Brittany for
the Bee Gees. Brian
joining
Godsoe and
us.
Brian Giles are the Bee Gees. We're the Bee Gees.
That's right, buddy.
Right.
That's
The Bee
right.
Gees.
Brittany, I love you and I miss you so much. And I it's been so long, and it's so good to see your face, honey. And I love you. And I don't think you look like a dude at all. I think you are.
I miss you too.
Not
I'm
at
just
all.
throwing that out there.
I know I'm beautiful.
Absolutely.
Right now on my screen, I have Brian directly above you. You could be twins.
Actually, Brittany, if I could like Zoom you someday and you could walk me through cutting my own hair, that would be key.
All right. Well, I've been holding a piss for a long time.
Yeah, sure, man.
so I'm gonna go.
Call me sometime.
Thanks for
I do
coming out.
nothing.
Miss all you guys.
Great to
Thanks
see
for
you
drinking my
guys.
truck.
Loved you, Brittany. Loved you, Brian. Loved you, Brian. Loved you, Arif. Love you, John.
Thank you, everyone.
Love you too.
We're all
And all
in
the
this
rest
You
of
wanna
together.
get my truck? Let's go. If you wanna go mudding
Nice
with
to see
me,
you.
I got like fucking 6 seats in the back. We can go mudding anytime you guys want. Like, let's go fucking back roading it, boys
Right
and
now,
girls.
because you pounded back about a half a quart.
You know what's almost better than mudding?
That's the best time to go mudding. Come
The
on.
only thing better than mudding is listening to 4-Story Walk Up on Podbean or Spotify. Or Apple iTunes.
I'll throw in Def Leppard Hysteria and we'll get fucking wild. Let's do it.
Or you could throw in the episode where I have a meltdown about liking Star Wars. That's a good thing to listen.
That's not a meltdown. You were accurate.
Jar Jar
Alright.
Binks was misunderstood.
Well, that has been the show. If you like it, subscribe to the channel. Tell somebody else about it that you liked it and that they should watch it. If you think anybody would like it, share it on your social media. Like it, give it a review, comment on it, whatever, all that stuff. I'd like to thank my post No Jokes Barred guests: Arif, Brian, Brittany. Who else was on that? Michelle, all those people. I think May chimed in. Happy Soberversary to May, and thank you for watching or listening or whatever. Good night or good afternoon, whenever the hell you're watching this. Who knows anymore?